How can people pull their speakers away from the wall? This is an often asked question and one that I really struggle with, so I do appreciate a chance to riff on it and we'll just talk for a minute. It's from Santosh in Chicago. Hi, Paul. I've been watching all of your YouTube videos lately and have seen one of your videos on speaker placement from walls. I've read a lot about speaker placement in many forums and I'm still quite confused. How can one place speakers about 3 feet away from the wall in most normal people's living rooms? Doesn't it look awkward? Most of the TVs are either mounted or placed very close to a wall. The center channel is, of course, either directly below the TV or to anchor the image to the TV. In this kind of setup, is it better to line up left and right speakers with the center channel or place them away from the wall? How is that done? And that is the question from Santosh. So we got a couple of things going on here. One, I don't want to mix up high-end 2-channel audio with home theater, okay? So in a home theater situation, which appears like what you're speaking about, it's pretty important that your center channel and your left and right speakers are in a similar plane. And as you correctly point out, if we're watching a movie, that's probably up against a wall. So it makes no sense to pull them out from the rear wall, as I recommend all the time, right? So we're talking home theater. Nope, you're going to have to not place them against that. In fact, a lot of people today use in-wall speakers, and I'm not a particularly big fan of it, though I have done it myself. In my home theater, I have in-wall ribbons, big Bollender-Graebner in-wall ribbons. And when I built my theater, along the wall that we watch our movie on, I installed left, center, and right speakers in the wall. Now these are big ribbons, and they're not your typical in-wall speaker, but I did that so that they're all in the same plane. And because I don't like television particularly, I like projected. If I'm going to watch a film, I want it to look like a movie. And not everybody can afford to have the space and whatnot to have a screen, but we have a dedicated home theater. It's not big. You can look it up, you can see it. And then I put a screen in front of those speakers, and it's a special acoustically transparent screen. That's the best way to do it if you can afford the real estate. If you can't, then yes, the speaker on the wall below the television, and then to the left and right, as close to the same plane as you can get, and as close to the same speakers as you can get. So that's another problem. Why people insist on having separate center channel designs and from their left and right speakers is a total compromise. For me, you're either in or out. If you're going to build a home theater, build a home theater. If you want to compromise and have a 2-channel system that also can double as a home theater with another kind of center channel, it's a compromise. So accept the fact that it's a compromise and deal with it as best you can. I'm just not a compromising kind of guy when it comes to sound, if I can help it. I mean, if it were me, and in fact it is, because in my upstairs room where Terry has her turntable set up, I have a big TV, and I just bought a Sonos soundbar and placed that underneath the TV, and it works fine. I have no high expectations. I have a Sonos wireless sub connected to it. It works fine. We don't watch any serious movies up there. So if you're going to compromise, go ahead and compromise the hell out of it. And so that's what we have. We've got Terry's little setup. She's got the KEF LS50s, which are good little speakers, a turntable, and it's got a nice little 2-channel setup. And then when we want to watch TV, we don't use that. We just use the Sonos soundbar. Hope that helps. I wanted to touch briefly, though, on this issue as it concerns 2-channel audio, because that's a big deal for me. So you can see here, in our setup, I've got these speakers a lot more than 3 feet away from the wall. They're quite a bit farther than the wall, and there's good reason. They're dipoles. I have the room. They will image beautifully if you do pull them away from the wall. And that's kind of what you want to do. Most home settings will not permit speakers well away from the wall, and it's a huge problem. And one of the big debates we're having internally at PS Audio, as we're getting set to manufacture our own line of loudspeakers that were based on this design, and we've got them, from this size up. How much attention do we pay to designing them to not be required to be away from the wall? Because my first pass on it was, I'm going to build one of the world's best loudspeakers as in honor of Arnie Nudell, the designer of these speakers, right? And Arnie would have always placed them away from the wall. I've had real second reservations about that, simply because that's not what most people do. And if we're ever going to start selling speakers, high quality, great speakers, to people like you that don't have room to come out and don't have man caves and all this stuff, which, let's face it, most people don't, we're going to have to do something a little different. So I'm seriously thinking and researching ways, how can we take those speakers, push them up against the wall or maybe a foot or two away from the wall for 2-channel audio and still have that amazing imaging. It is technically possible, and I'm going to figure it out. Whether we'll be able to pull it off or not, I don't know, but stay tuned for that. All right, great question. Thanks for letting me riff on it, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.